Thank you again, and Helen, take it away.
Hi there, MTSU friends. Thanks for joining me on this gorgeous Friday. I know it is absolutely very close to the weekend, and you've had a long week and you've had things to do. So, thanks for taking the time out of your day to learn more about grading and feedback. So, let's go ahead and take a look first at how you get grades into the gradebook. And so for this scenario that I'm about to walk you through, I'm assuming that we have students each individually submitting an assignment, and I want to look at each assignment, give feedback on it in various ways, even use a rubric that I've previously attached to it. So, a relevant question to have right now is, well, how do I get to this magical place? And like with many features in Canvas, there are multiple ways to get here. I think the easiest way, honestly, to do so is to go to your to-do area on your dashboard, which is where you spend a lot of your time anyway. Our fictional instructor sees that there's one ungraded paper here and one ungraded paper here. So from here, you can just click on the link, and that leads you directly to the SpeedGrader area. I did also want to show you here that you can also enter SpeedGrader directly from inside the course. So this is that same course where you can click on that link. If you happen to be inside of modules, which you might be, you know, a quick and easy way to tell if you have a submission is if you're scrolling in your modules and you see a green check mark, but it looks grayed out. That's because you can't unpublish the assignment anymore, but it's also a cue to let you know somebody submitted something. So if I am truly here, I can click on the dots and go to SpeedGrader from here. There's even more areas, and ways to get in, but I think you get the message. Multiple ways to get in. So when you go into any of those areas, you should expect to see a view that looks like this. So let's get the Vanna White tour of all of these areas. And we'll start in the top right, top left-hand corner rather. Right here, you see this dark gray bar. It is called our doc viewer. And if you have a file upload like this file, it offers you a way to add additional annotations to serve as your feedback, in which case you might value a way to zoom in and out, to rotate the file, view this in full screen, right, to give you more space, in which case you can click those double arrows to come back, access different pages of it. Just understand that you don't see this bar all the time to enter feedback, only if you have a file upload. So I just wanted to manage that expectation. If you have students submitting audio or a video file or a studio item, for instance, even a text entry assignment, you should not expect to see this bar here. We'll come back to the bar because this is a great way to give very pointed and good feedback onto that kind of submission. Above the bar, you see this blue bar with various symbols on it. This represents an easy way to get into the gradebook area. More on that later in this hour. You also see here settings for SpeedGrader, as well as a way to hide posted grades. More on posting grades later, but just to let you know, a posted grade is visible to students and a hidden grade is not. So once you have entered at least one grade, you can click on the eye here to hide the grades for all subsequent grades that you're about to enter. But there are nuances to this. Again, I will go back to the issue of posting and hiding grades when we get into the gradebook. You also see here a link. If you were to click on that link, you'll go back to the assignment directions. And right over here, Canvas keeps a friendly counter. I like to think of it that way. So that while you are grading individual assignments, it counts down to let you know how many papers are graded, how many papers are left. And then right here, you see some arrows. You see in the drop down, you'll see a list of all students enrolled in the course. So once I grade Bruce, I can move on to test student either by clicking on test student's name, or I can just use the arrow to go to test student. So from here, let's get into that way to enter in great feedback. So right over here on the left, not relevant for right now, but once you have annotations, this represents a way to download the student work with the annotations on it. We already talked about the functions of many of these buttons, so we'll head straight to this area because this is where you can access those great annotation tools. We'll start with this, what my students used to call the teardrop annotation. Clicking on the marker here, pick your desired color if that's important to you. Click somewhere where you want to enter that comment, and then you can type in whatever comment you fancy here that's pertinent to that part of the student work, and then you can hit return or enter. Now, if you didn't mean to do that, you can trash the comment, but that means you'll have to remove the annotation too, so you have a way to remove the annotation as well. You also have here a highlight tool. You can pick a desired color, again, if that's important to you, and then enter in a comment. You can either enter a string of comments, so you can have multiple comments related to one area of the annotation. You can also enter text type comments. Choose the size of lettering you wish, choose the color if that's important, click somewhere, and you can type comments directly on top of the annotation, or to serve as the annotation, rather. Along the same lines, you have a strike through tool. You have a paintbrush tool. And anecdotally, I am not very graceful. I have large fingers. So just to show you, I'm just using my trackpad here to show you, you can do a pretty decent line, like so. Accept the annotation, and then click on there to make your comment. And although I am on my laptop to deliver this feedback, if you are using our Canvas teacher app, you can even use your finger. And again, not great with my fingers, but I can draw a really decent circle if I'm annotating on the teacher app. It makes my motions look amazing. Finally, for those folks that don't like the circle tool, and there's folks that don't, there is a shape drawing tool, although the only kind of shape you have is a rectangle. So in this way, if I want to kind of draw attention to this area, right, I can. I don't know of a limit to the number of annotations that you can add to an item. But at this point, once you have entered those annotations, you might want to download that annotation along with the paper and maybe save it for future reference. Once the grade is posted, and we'll go over that here in just a second, the annotations will also be visible as well. So just be aware, right? These are not secret comments. These comments are meant for students to understand what they did right and what they need to improve on. Finally, and this is, I think, key, depends on the size of the student file, I suppose, but there is right here a gray line. I hope that's visible enough. Sometimes, you have your students submitting large, or wide files, so this allows you a way to adjust the window. Just know that that impacts how much space that you have over here.
Ellen,
Yeah.
Mary had a question about using correct math in the comment area.
Mhm.
Um, what would you recommend for that?
So you're right, directly in here, all you can do is type. But at the very bottom here, you see this main area. You have some rich content editor functions, and right here, you can use the math equation editor here. If you're fluent in LaTeX, you can even use LaTeX to manipulate what's here. You can tell it's been a long time since I've had to deal with this, but you can see like I can type in math type comments here. And then
I,
those symbols will be here.
in the past, I've used a WYSIWYG LaTeX version. Will it interpret that?
I don't see why not.
It has some stray characters in it because it's WYSIWYG.
hmm I wonder if you can try it out, right? So I would go to the equation
Maybe
editor.
cut and paste it. Yeah.
Yeah, paste it in. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a great question. More on comments a little bit later. All right. Any other questions? This is a good stopping point for any other questions that are coming to people's minds.
Yeah, can you D2L in the turn it in function?
Oh, turn it in.
Yeah,
Turn
yeah.
it in.
Well, D2L allowed the turn it in allowed you to save comments, like if it's something you use often.
Mhm.
Does Canvas let you do something like that?
There is a similar function, but it doesn't have anything to do with Turnitin.
Sure.
So it is right here. It is the comment library. And in short, you can save canned comments here and then have them just be kind of auto posted here for you to adjust.
So the first time I make a comment in that box, if I want to save it, I just highlight it and go up to the library.
What I do in that case is then I would put, the comment,
Right.
then I would copy it, go into the library, and then I would paste it here
Okay.
so that it's saved for future students.
And you mentioned the Canvas Teacher app. Is that in the App Store?
Yep, it's free. Works great. We have iOS as well as Android versions. I've used both and they both work great.
D2L had one of those, but they quit supporting it. It's wonderful.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you should be able to enjoy the Canvas apps.
And
That's
it's
great.
Canvas does not use turn it in.
Canvas does have Turnitin. I'll show you it's enabled inside the assignment specific settings. And I'll share with you because I do have a mini fake gradebook here. See, Turnitin even flagged some submissions that it found to be questionable right here. All right. Great questions all.
So that was in the grade book where you got to the turnitin stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I saw the results.
Thank
Now to
you.
turn it on, you have to be in the assignment settings here. So just to show you briefly, right, when you set up the assignment before students have submitted, obviously, there is a plagiarism review area.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then where you just had us where we're putting in our comments and everything, is it I'm assuming it's pretty simple for the students to add our comments?
I'm sorry, to add their own comments. Yeah.
No, to get at them and read them.
Oh, yeah, yes, because they have a grades area which just lists their individual grades, and then from there they can see the rubric and all the comments that have been posted.
Right. So once we download it and don't have it hidden, they can see it.
Once the grade and the comments are posted, they can see it in their grades area.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have to download it for
Okay.
All right. So,
One thing I found helpful, Helen, is like when you draw that circle, I put the number 1, 2, or 3 outside of it, and then put in that comment section down below, area down below 1, and write what I would have said in that spot if I could have written it there.
Great tip there, Mary. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So, in the assessment window here, this is the right side of that gray bar here. You'll see when the item was submitted. Now, if you enabled multiple submission attempts, right? So you enabled 2, 3, 4, 5, and the student has used multiple attempts, you will see a drop down. Now, the student only submitted once, but you will see a drop down where you can click on the drop down and see all of the dates and times of the previous submissions. And you can even see what was submitted each time. I always let my students know I expect to grade the most recent submission, so that should be the best one, the one that you want me to grade. And I would tell students, I can see everything that you submit.
And Helen, just a quick question. We did have this question. If you were not able to see those other submissions, is there a setting or anything that would have prevented the instructor from seeing if there were multiple attempts?
No, if the assignment had multiple attempts enabled from the get-go, like that drop down automatically appears here. There's no specific button to click to make that happen. All right, so moving on past the stats like word count, you'll see right here an assessment area. Now, this particular assignment does have a rubric attached. If you don't have a rubric attached, don't worry, you can still type in your assessment. You just type in the number of points the student has earned. And you'll also see over here on the right, the status. Now, Bruce literally just submitted not 15 minutes ago, which was late. So it was counted as such. So you'll see it here as well as by how many dates it's late or how many days it's late, even down to decimal points. One thing you should know is that Canvas does not regard the weekend as the weekend. So if the due date was a Friday and the student submits on a Monday and you did accept it as late, you will see here 2 days. Just to let you know that. My particular institution had this policy where we could not count the weekend. So if that holds true for you, I don't know if it does, but if it does, you can edit the number of days by which it's late, right? And if you just bring this status down to say none, that's you basically excusing it from being late. So just to show you, right, you see that days late has gone, although you can bring it back. And I just mentioned that because there might be really good reasons why an item is late. So you can reverse that in the drop down. You can make that none. Other statuses include missing. We all know what that means. You won't see anything here. Or if you're truly excusing it from the student's grade. Now, if you did add a rubric, you'll be able to see that rubric right here. And this is where using this bar can be very handy because there are different possible views of your rubric. Now, this is completely personal preference. I like the traditional view because, shamefully, I didn't always remember what my descriptions were for each category, so I need the full view of the rubric, but it does take up space, right? So if you don't like the space, you can choose horizontal, right? In which case, you just have the number showing here, but you'd have to click to see what was written on each rating level, or there's also vertical. It doesn't truly matter. You would just pick whichever view you prefer, and you would just click on the points value that you feel matches that student's mastery of that criterion. If you had multiple criteria, so you'd see multiple sections, you can go through each criterion and Canvas should add up the points in the instructor score, like so. And for each criterion, you can also add a comment. So when your assessment is deemed complete, and you'll see a little marker for that, you would click on Submit Assessment, at which point you'll see a little check mark appear. The check mark means the grade has been tabulated and is now available in the gradebook. And since I did not hide the student's grades at all, it means Bruce can find out, right now how he did on the assignment, and he can access that feedback. Now, there are additional options to add more comments too. For instance, you can add comments upon comments about comments. I know, comments here, comments in the rubrics, comments also here too. And we got that great question from Mary about adding in math and science symbols. Any comments that you add here can be formatted so as to make it easier for students to navigate your comments. For example, you can consider doing a bulleted list for all the comments that you want to add. So feel free to add links, images, emojis I see you have here. So you can absolutely type, check for accessibility, right? Hit submit. You can add multiple comments if you wish. For folks that prefer to do so, you can create a file like in Word, for instance, and then upload the file of your comments here, right? And that can be opened by students. If you have checked your hair and you feel like you want to deliver some video feedback, feel free to do so. Students love this. Although I don't think they always loved seeing me on camera because they knew it meant I had something to say, but um, I can go ahead and deliver my comments here, or if I'm shy, I can disable my webcam and deliver audio comments. That's, I think, really great for the end of the semester when, you know, we can use all the help that we can get. Otherwise, you have some options for how to deliver your comments. So there's a screen capture. This is if you don't want to have your face show, but you still want to deliver feedback of the student's work and have it show in the video here. So once you've enabled screen capture, choose start recording. So all of this would be in the background. So you could be annotating, you can be adding in comments, you can talk through your rubric submission. And then you would click on finish recording. You can give that a title, start over, or save that video. And then it will be playable and visible to both you and the student. The other option here, besides uploading your video made elsewhere, is to just disable, right? And then just speak as if you are on camera and you just want to give that face-to-face comment. So, hi, Bruce, here's my comments on your work. So you can have your face showing, or you don't have to have your face showing. I leave that up to you. If you're on Chrome or Edge, you can do speech to text. So click on record. Hi there, Bruce. Here are my comments on your assignment. And then it types here. You can format that here if you want. And then you can click submit. And as if that wasn't great enough, you saw me walk through the comment library here briefly. I was in Canvas well before we had this comment feature, and I would create these, a list of comprehensive comments, and I would be pasting from that document into our LMS. It's a lot of time, wasted. So if you want to add a generic comment, so for example, you're noticing everybody is messing up step 2. You can add that comment to the library, then paste it, and then you can submit that. So that is a quick and easy way to deliver comments too. Finally, now this is really relevant only if, under some circumstances, if, for example, the student has submissions left, so they've submitted 1, but you allowed 3 submissions, for instance, and maybe you have determined that they submitted the wrong assignment. That does happen. Or they submitted the wrong file for the class. So as a chemistry instructor, I got band practice logs once. I got an English paper once. Students do get confused among their cards. So if the student has to resubmit because that's not what you needed, you can click on reassign assignment. So this button should appear here as an option if they're eligible for that, which means the student gets a to-do list item to let them know they have to resubmit. Now, at this point, once you have delivered that feedback, you'd want to go ahead and move forward to the next student. So you can click on the arrow here to see that next student's work. There's also a back button here. And right here in the drop down, you'll see a good comprehensive list of all students. The check mark being it's a graded item, but test student still has a submission that I need to look at. And if you happen to have sections, you can even filter by section. So you're just grading section at a time, if that pertains to you.
If you have a check mark, can you see, like if they submitted 2 assignments and you van graded one, do you get the check or do you see the dot? Because you haven't
So
graded both
that's a
of
good
them.
question. No, that's a good question. If you've graded any of that student's submissions, you will see the check mark.
So there's no marker for, I have a second attempt to go back and grade.
Mm-mm. But you could go into that student's work here, and if you click on the drop down that appears here, actually, I may have one here.
So I have to do that for each student each time.
Let's see if I can find. Trying to find a student. Oh, here we go. This is a student with multiple submissions here. So just so you get a sense, right? Like I can go back to that date.
But you can't tell which one was graded already. Like if you graded the third one down, you wouldn't know that.
No, it's here. Do you see it? There's a grade listed here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I do now. Thank you.
Hmm? All right. Back to this area here. I'll talk a little bit more about posting and hiding when we get to the gradebook in 1 minute. But I know that at some point you're going to welcome some shortcuts. Do check out the settings area in the gear because you can access not only help for SpeedGrader, which is this area, but also some options. So for instance, you can sort your student list in different ways. The alphabetical list is the traditional method, but you can also sort by submission status. And so let me show you the power of that here in my Canvas over here. Great, I grant you this is not a large student list, but imagine now that I have, say, 150 students. Scrolling up and down to access those items I have yet to grade might be too much for me on that day. So if you want to resort the list, the gear offers you ways to do that. So watch what happens if I click on options here and then choose by submission status, right? And then save that. It pushes all of the items to grade at the top so I can grade those items all at once. And I didn't realize until I turned this option on in my classes how much time I was wasting with scrolling up and down trying to find submissions to grade. So it pushes them all together. By the way, you can see also the number of students who have it missing because they'll also be grouped all together. So that's a great way to check on that.
So how do you know there's a missing student, a submission missing?
So that's Yelena right here. She has no symbol. Do you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the check comes from me having graded it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
there's no yellow dot is the secret.
Correct. Yeah. This
Okay.
dot means you got to do your grading.
Something to do, yeah.
Right. This is the missing, and then these are all the ones I've already graded. Hmm?
And from there, can I send her an email that says, I didn't get your assignment from that list?
You can contact those students, but you don't do it here. I'm about to show you where you can do that from the gradebook.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll pretend now we've moved forward in time and we have grades to look at, and now we need to look at how everybody did. So now let's take a look at the gradebook, which you can access from SpeedGrader through the little book icon. Or if you happen to be just inside your course, you can just click on the grades link in course navigation, either way. So, welcome to the traditional gradebook inside of Canvas. You view what I think you would expect to view, a column with all of your students' names, a column for each assignment you have in the course. You have a way to search for specific students. You can even have multiple students if you need to compare grades. You also have a way to search for specific assignments. So that hides all of the other columns and lets you focus on one specific assignment. Now, there's an unexpected power in this because since I've hidden all the other columns, I now don't have to scroll to the right because ordinarily I would. Watch this, right? I'm not going to put you through that, but you get the idea. So if I just search for one specific assignment, I can also see all of the other columns that are normally far off to the right. And that includes a column for each of your assignment categories along with the average of the student. And by the way, if you're wondering, where do I set up these magical columns? These columns are actually set up in assignments, not in the gradebook. Once you set up your categories and assignments, they will automatically appear here as columns. And so scrolling on past all of the other columns at the very right, you'll now see a total column. And this is the student's grade in the course. Now, I'm sure you will want to have the student's average next to the student's name because you don't have time to scroll to the right. So here's how you can move that total column to the right. Click on the three dots for the total column and choose Move to Front. And now the student's average is right next to the student's name. That's real helpful. All right. Just a quick look at some of these drop downs here. This is that traditional gradebook, and fine, totally okay to spend most of your time here. I will point out that the gradebook history tab is helpful if there's a dispute about when grades have been assigned, because it basically tabulates all the times when a grade was assigned for a student. So if Jeff has questions about this assignment here, I can search for a specific student with whom I have that dispute. Once that fills up, that is. Then I can filter, and then I can see exactly when grades were adjusted. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a specific assignment just to clean this up a little bit. So these represent all of the times when an assignment grade was changed, and I see before it was 26, after it was 26.6, along with the timestamp. So you can reach out and let students know, hey, this was when your grade was changed. And then you move back to the traditional gradebook to view your gradebook. Now over here on the right, you do see a little keyboard. The keyboard lets you access keyboard shortcuts, and this is for those of us that don't want to use a mouse or a trackpad. So you can click on these keys to, for example, open the menu. The menu is the three dots, by the way. So you have an option, right? You can click on the three dots if you can, or if you don't want to, you can just click the M to open the menu for that active column. Right over here are some options for you. You have an import option. I have no doubt there are folks here that prefer to keep grades on a spreadsheet because that's what works for them, but you will want to upload to Canvas, in which case do take care to access our documentation on how to format the spreadsheet because it's picky. So there is a file here that lets you have that information. Once you want to upload, you would click on Choose File, find your file, and then upload it. There are some folks out there that like to, for example, create assignments on the spreadsheet and then upload it here, and that actually creates the assignment columns for them in the Canvas gradebook. Do you have to do that? No. But for those folks that prefer a spreadsheet, you might really like that option. The export option is typically used for institutions that require, and that might be MTSU at the end of the term, that require your grades to be stored in a spreadsheet format. So they'll say, hey, give us a gradebook export. And so here's how you would obtain it. What you would do is you would choose export entire gradebook, let the bar fill up. You should now have access to that CSV, and then you can turn in that CSV according to the directions you're given. And then right here in the gear, you have access to your gradebook settings. Let's take a look first at late policies. Your late policies, I know you need to follow those that are set by your department, by your college, by your program. You have here a way to automatically apply a grade for missing submissions and then enter in that grade and then make sure to save. And then you also have automatically apply deduction to late submissions. This is how you can have Canvas do the math for you and remove those points from students' grades to reflect that late penalty. So you would enter in that your late deduction, whether you take that per day or per hour. Keep in mind per day also includes Saturday and Sunday. And if you have that policy, you can have Canvas stop at whatever percentage you place here. Otherwise, if you don't want Canvas to stop, then I would just put lowest possible grade is 0%. For obvious reasons, I think that would be obvious to folks here in the room. These policies are best to set before students get into the class. It is really difficult to communicate changes to grades if you make these changes retroactive, in October when grades have already been posted and now you put a late penalty, right? In which case, changing that late penalty is going to go back and take off late points off of past assignments too. I think that's tough to have that conversation late in the semester. So I recommend that you decide on these and set these before students enter your course. Now, let's talk about posting policies. There are two options. You can have automatic post, and watch the language here, right? Because it's really careful. Assignment grades are visible as soon as they are entered by you. So if Karen, my professor, is grading my work at, I hope she's not up this late at night, 11:59 p.m. on a Friday, and I just happen to be hanging around Canvas and she posts my grade at 11:59 p.m., I will see my grade and my feedback and my comments at 11:59 p.m. Does that make sense? So I find out right away. Now, if Karen had already hidden grades for other students, they'll stay hidden. So this basically only affects me because she posted my grade. Now, if you would rather have more control over that, and I don't blame you if you do, you have an option for manual post. Grades are hidden by default. And speaking from experience as someone who's been there, this is best done before students get to your course, not after, before. Set that expectation for the students that your grades will be hidden by default until I let you know what your grade is. So they won't find out in Canvas until you post it. So this means grade is hidden, rubric comments are hidden, grade change notifications are hidden, all the things are hidden. So when you do change to manual post, you'll see a message, manual, So for any future assignment, we'll look at this one, right? Watch what happens. If I enter in a grade for Bruce here, like 10 out of 10, so here is a second fail-safe, right? You can institute that manual grade posting policy, but you can also hide the grades too. That's why I didn't show up here. To make sure that future students, right? Yelena, for instance, if I'm posting her or entering in her grade right now, let's say an 8, she won't find out because of the crossed out I being here. So I recommend 2 things in short. Make sure to have a manual posting policy for all of your grades before the students come. And when you get into entering grades, make sure to hide them. So you'll have the option to hide grades either here or you can even be in SpeedGrader. Remember SpeedGrader? And then you can hide them even here. That's the most secure method I know of to make sure your grades remain hidden. So now we pretend we're ready to post, right? So what I can do is I can go to, let's do it for this one. I can go to the 3 dots here if I'm ready to let students know how they did, right? I click on post grades. And now those students will be notified of their grade in the comments. There's also here an additional option. So let me explain a little bit about me because I hope this will make sense. I always had a manual policy for all of my assignments, but for certain quizzes, I did want students to know right away how they did. So you have as a choice to allow a posting policy for a specific assignment that's different. So you can have a different posting policy for specific assignments. So just for one assignment, maybe for me, it's okay that they find out right away how they did. One additional note here, because I know it's enabled inside your Canvas, because I get this question a lot. Helen, I want to post grades, but I don't want to be there when the grades are posted. I want to save the date, right? I want the grades to post for me next Monday at, I don't know, 10 p.m., but I'm not going to be on Canvas at that time. You now have the option to schedule a release date. So I can choose to release the grades at a future date, right? And then I can hit save. And then when that date comes, then those grades will be automatically posted for me. Yeah, that's really nice. I was in Canvas when we didn't have that. I would be sitting there like a fool, like clicking the menu to post grades. You don't have to do that anymore. All right. Let's pause here. This is a good time for a quick break. Any questions? That's right. No more creating a midterm calculated grade. They're automatically updated. Yep. You're right, Mary. That's great for final exams. You don't want to be on Canvas excessively at that time. I understand. Can you make a comment that goes to the entire class without retyping them? Oh, that's a great question. I can't think of oh, actually, maybe you can. Let's talk about this option. Actually, I think Mary, you asked about this before, sending emails to students. For each column in the gradebook, you have a message students who. Now, actually, I don't see the option to message every single student here. In which case, Mary, I would just send students maybe either an inbox message, right, to all the students, or you can send an announcement. That would also go to all students in the class. But the kind of message we're composing here does not go to all students, only to specific students that fit a certain category, like students who have it missing, for instance. So you would figure out your status. Canvas figures out which students pertain. And then you type in your message, add video or a file, and then click send. Could you put scored more than and put 0? Yeah, you can right here. So that's a great way to yeah, that's a great way to let students know. Also, doesn't that help improve and work on your relationships with students, right? Because you're noticing, hey, 13 students, you did not submit this. Like, I care about you. I want for you to have the highest grade possible. So please go ahead and submit your work. The last option here in the gear that you should know of, that I think would help cut down on clutter and keep you organized, is the view options area. Now, your default order, if you're wondering what that is, this is the exact order of your columns. And this reflects the order of assignments in your assignments area. So watch for this course syllabus assignment. I'll show you. You see, the syllabus assignment is first. So if you keep a very organized assignments area, your gradebook reflects that same order. Now, you have to ask yourself, are you that organized? I'm positive many of you are. I will share, I was not. I would just throw in the assignments into the little drawers. So when I would enter my gradebook, I would feel frustrated because I had in mind one specific assignment, but it wasn't immediately here. So then I realized, can I change the order of the columns? And the answer is you can. So in the gear, I would go to view options and click on what I can choose from. So I can list my assignments in alpha order by due date, by the points, or my recommendation. Friends, this changed my life, is module first to last. Because your course is organized in modules, therefore your assignments should be listed in that order as they're shown in modules. So when you choose apply settings, your columns reorganize in order of the modules, which was great because I prefer to see all of my numbers here in order. It's great. A couple other things that you can see here too. By default, show unpublished comments is checked off. But if you have a lot of unpublished assignments, I don't here in this class, they create these gray columns that are just in the way. So what you can do is you can remove them. And that also clears up a lot of clutter too. You can also make use of an optional notes column. So you can keep some short notes about students in this column. Students don't see what you type here, so this is a way for you to keep up with things like doctor's notes and extenuating circumstances. And if you need to hide it, you can hide it. You can hide those total columns off to the right. You can also click a View Hidden Grades indicator. This is brand new, by the way, for folks that may struggle with viewing the colors of these statuses like late, missing, resubmitted. So when you have this checked off, you see right here, there is a symbol that is viewable by folks that do have the color blindness condition to let them know like this is missing so they don't have to know that this is pink. They just go by the symbol that appears here. So this represents a way for you to kind of customize your columns and have certain columns showing. And here you can even customize the color if you perceive color, that is, if you want to use it. All right. Let me pause here and see if there's any questions out here. Whoops, I went too far. Paul, you okay? I hope that means you really like the color blindness feature. I do. It's really great. Okay. Let's take a quick peek at apply filters. You might be wondering what this is. Apply filters lets you go straight to certain columns in your gradebook. Even if you don't have any of these, I'll talk about these in a minute. You can choose to see certain columns that pertain to, say, modules, assignment groups, status. Like I want to see all of the assignments where something is late. See, like that. Or I want to see all assignments where where I have some ungraded submissions. This is great, by the way, for the end of the semester because you see right away, oop, didn't grade that, oop, didn't grade that. So you can quickly get to those columns by using filters. But if there's certain combinations of filters you like, you can create them here. So let me show you an example. Right now in this course, we are in week 2, which is a module in my class. And I want to be able to see all late submissions in week 2. So I give it a name. I have a week 2 module with assignments in it. And I want to see all the late submissions. So I click and save this as a preset. So here it is right here. I'll go ahead and clear this just so you can see. So now it's week 2. I'm worried about some students. So now with this preset on, I see right off the bat all of the assignments where there is at least one late submission. And so I know, oop, it's these students, right? I need to check in with these people. So that's the power of filters. Okay, be careful, Paul. Other things you can do here, we all saw message students who, so I won't go over that again, but I'll point out here too, if you used a rubric to assess, you can get in a spreadsheet all of the rubric results in a single spreadsheet. So I'll find an assignment where that actually pertains right here. So this lets me see all of the scores for each of the criteria of all of the rubrics. And if you like to do the opposite, so you have your rubric scores entered on a spreadsheet and you want to import them into Canvas, you have a way to import them right here. I think that's a pretty comprehensive tour through the gradebook. I do want to show you the student side of grades because I know that's of interest to you. So I'll check in for any last questions. And I feel like I did miss some, maybe. Weighted grades. Okay, it looks like we're okay, I think. All right. I know you want to know what the students see. So if you do want to see that, did you know you can see that for yourself? So as myself, you can click on a student's name here. And this window pops up. One of these buttons here, if you push it, goes to their grades. And so you would click it and you see the student view of their grades here. I'm going to do this for a different student because I do want to show you something relevant here. Go open this in a new tab. So when you access the grades for a particular student, you will see something like this. You can reorder the assignments. So you can go by due date or by module or alpha order. And in the assignments tab, you'll see a list of those assignments here. If you clicked the link as yourself, you would go to SpeedGrader. That's not true for the student. As a matter of fact, I will show you this student. This is the same student as themselves. If they click on that assignment, it does not lead to SpeedGrader. It leads to their view of the assignment where they can see the rubric, their submission is here, and all the information about the assignment, including a way to add comments. Sometimes I would get comments back from students after I'd given them their grade. So if you're wondering how they're doing it, that's how they're doing it. They're clicking on submit a comment. Now, in your view, you can also see due date, when it was submitted. Status would include things like missing, late, excused, and then the posted grade. Now, if the grade is posted, you'll see a number, of course. If the grade is not posted, you'll see some kind of symbol, right? This represents a file upload assignment. This is a quiz. Here's an example of that status here. Here's an example of what it looks like when the grade has been hidden. And depending on the settings that you have turned on, if you have this particular setting on, I'll show you this in a sec, you can actually access statistics about the entire class and how they did, with this blue square being this student's grade within the range of grades. By the way, it is viewable by students too. I'll show you this here. Oh, it might not be on in this assignment. It would be a little check mark if they can view it. Now, if you don't want students to see that, you can shut that off. So what you would do is you'd go to settings here. And at the very bottom of the list, that's why my student couldn't see it, is hide grade distribution graphs from students. So that was why my student couldn't see the graphs. But you can always see the graphs.
And Helen, real quick on this, through this view, if you were to click on, in the grades area, if you click on your student, if you click on the assignment, is that where you can see whether the student has seen their grade, read the feedback? Is there an indicator anywhere that students have seen the feedback?
No, there isn't, because I'll show you this here. This is assignment, I think it's 1.8 for this business class here for this student. On the student side, if they have not seen an assignment set of feedback, they'll see a little blue dot here. So this is for the mock business assignment here. But on 1.8, this is the same assignment. I don't see the blue dot. So you're not able to view that, unfortunately. You know what you could do as a maybe possible workaround, right? Because students can add submission comments even after you post the grades, you could just require that, right? Like students like show me that you saw your feedback, because they can go to that assignment here and they'll have a way to view and add feedback here. See right here. Rubric scores can be clicked by clicking on the little clipboard here. And then the comments are viewable here. Let me click on one with maybe some video. Yeah, right here. The video will be playable here. Audio will be playable here. And at the very bottom of the grades list, students see this too, is a tally of their average in each category. The same in terms of points, and then their overall grade is listed here. If you did have weights created inside of your assignments area, students would be able to see it here. And then there's again like the total of that student's achievement in your course right here. One last thing I'll show you here, and then we are truly finished with grading and feedback. And it's only visible from the student side, not from the instructor side, but it's the ability for the student to test a different grade. So even for a posted grade, right? They can enter in what's called a what if score and then try to see the result of the what if score on their overall grade, which can be helpful for goal setting, right? For an assignment that hasn't been posted yet, I can see what's going to be the effect of that change if that was my grade right over here. And that, my friends, is grading and feedback. Quite a bit of detail for a Friday afternoon, I'm sure, but I hope that you found it helpful to get this first look.
Thanks, Helen, and thanks to everyone joining us on faculty. We have several more trainings coming up this spring and into the summer, so please join us again in the future. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend, MTSU. See you later.